The USA World Cup is about to start, and unless you live under a rock, you probably heard that this will be the most corporate, greedy, expensive, and worst World Cup ever. Or at least, they didn't have a great time on catching the football vibe. Imagine you get a job as a stadium guard and decide to do some research before your first day at work. You discovered that America's last international tournament was the Copa America. So you search Copa America fans video. You might have left a job before the Copa America, but the USA doubled its bet and is now hosting the 2026 World Cup together with Mexico and Canada. And to be fair with them, they probably learned from previous experiences to host it. That's why they run the Copa America and the Close World Cup in the first place, being the last one mostly a success. But here's the thing, there's an invisible problem in the air that nobody can quite explain. For some reason, people aren't feeling hyped this time, or at least not like the World Cup used to feel. You might have heard some possible reasons: the war in Iran, the geopolitical usage of the tournament, the fear of excessive advertising during the games, and the general feeling that the game is just about the money. Yeah, to understand why people aren't hyped about this World Cup, you need to understand why do fans like this sport in the first place. It's very simple. Football is open to everyone. Everybody on earth can play football with something that resembles a ball. It's a game that's inevitably inclusive. Not in the woke sense, in the real one. It's a game for everyone. That's why the best players often come from very humble backgrounds. Once you step onto the pitch, you're judged exclusively by your skill. If you're good enough, you play. And this is the very foundation of FIFA and the World Cup, bringing everybody together to measure ourselves through a game that allows us to forget for a moment about the differences in economy or politics. This is the reason why football is such a traditional sport. Changes aren't well received because the focus is on the game during the 90 minutes, different to sports like boxing, where a lot of its value as a product comes before the fight. The problem is that in the last decade, FIFA realized about something massive. Football has conquered almost the entire world except the biggest entertainment market on earth, the United States. And opening that market meant completely adapting football to a different sports culture. A culture built around spectacle, commercialization, and non-stop entertainment. That transformation did not happen overnight. More advertising, more corporate presence around the sport, more attempts to transform football into a television product first and a sporting event second. Hell, there will be a halftime show at the World Cup final. That would have sounded absurd 10 years ago. Individually, none of these changes seem catastrophic, but together they completely changed the atmosphere of the games. Don't forget that FIFA's main objective is to grow football around the world. In the past, FIFA required hosting nations two basic things: to have resources to build big enough stadiums and to have a strong football tradition, one that will be able to receive fans from all over the world and live up to their expectations. But for that, you need high-quality events, and only places used to play the sport know how to handle it. The idea is to host them in nations who are about to get to the next level, helping them with building new stadiums and with a lot of programs that help local professionals to improve the quality of their product. In change, FIFA gets to make their event and money to help another nation 4 years later. Back in 2024, before we quit our job as guards, the USA failed at showing their football tradition. The issue was never just about bad organization. The issue was the collision between football culture and organizers who underestimated the scale of the event they were hosting. Football fans do not behave like regular customers. This sport creates obsession, collective identity, emotional chaos. Surrounding a major football match can feel closer to a political demonstration than to a normal sporting event. And when organizers fail to understand that intensity, everything collapses very quickly. The Copa America final exposed that disconnection to the entire world. I mean, just think about it. The game ended 1-0 to Argentina against Colombia, but nobody cared about it because the headlines featured the disastrous security. The only fact that fans were mixed went totally against football's tradition and common sense. The organizers were ready for a Super Bowl, not a Copa America final. I mean, according to some Miami reports, the number was between 20 to 30,000 people who got into the stadium without a ticket, a number that they were definitely not expecting. But that wasn't all. Just look at Darwin Núñez before getting a 3-game ban after his wife and child were allegedly assaulted by drunk Colombian supporters. This is just not understanding the fever football causes. The 2024 Copa America didn't go well, but the 2026 World Cup was already guaranteed to be played in the North, so a bunch of improvements had to be made. The 2025 World Cup attracted the eyes of the whole world, once again, to US soil. Deep down, everybody watching felt the same. This is the official rehearsal of the main event. Let's see if they learned something. More and better equipped police officers, extra checkpoints around the stadiums, more control over tickets and access credentials. Hell, they even brought ICE officials to the games. In 2025, the Club World Cup was a success. Overall, There were no major issues, but at a cost. Everything began to seem unusually tense. Heavy security infrastructure around the stadiums, restrictions around fan movements, overpriced tickets pushing ordinary supporters away from the spectacle. The tournament increasingly looked less like a football festival and more like a massive corporate event. And that feeling becomes even stronger once politics enters the conversation. Tensions between the United States and Iran already created discussions around the Iranian national team potentially playing in American soil. Mexico is preparing one of the largest security operations in the history of the tournament. And while all of these measures may be understandable individually, the World Cup was historically designed as football's greatest celebration. But now, it feels like the celebration can only happen after the corporate advertising is sealed. The USA offers gigantic stadiums, massive sponsors, and one of the most profitable entertainment markets on the planet. Financially, this World Cup will probably be an enormous success. But football was never built purely as an entertainment business. Its power came from functioning as a shared cultural experience. And shared cultural experiences become weaker when ordinary people stop feeling a part of them. That's why ticket prices matter. That's why the excessive commercialization matters. That's why atmosphere matters. Because football loses part of its identity when fans begin to feel like customers instead of participants. And maybe that is the real fear surrounding the 2026 World Cup. America improves their product. Yes. FIFA were able to step up in America. Yes. But the price that the world of football is paying hasn't been revealed yet. Halftime shows, cooling breaks, and ads. A lot of ads. And stupid rules that apply to other sports. Just to avoid Americans leaving stadiums during games, as it happened in Qatar 2022. And maybe that is the real fear surrounding the 2026 World Cup. Not the possibility of failure, the possibility of success. A version of success where the tournament becomes bigger financially, bigger commercially, and bigger globally, while slowly becoming disconnected from the culture that made football the most important sport on earth. This is the biggest sporting event in the planet, and with a few days to begin, I feel that there's more tension than excitedness. Yes, I know what you're thinking. Russia and Qatar are also not football paradises on earth. They had their fair share of problems, repression, corruption, and many more challenges. I actually covered a bit of that in another video for the channel. You can click in here to check it out. And yes, this World Cup editions had so many memorable moments. And it's not that the World Cup will be bad, it's just that the feeling began to change, partly because it feels like we're trying so hard to make the American public something that maybe it wasn't designed for them, and is meant to grow organically on them over time. Maybe this video ages like milk, but I'm worried that the game is losing its soul just for trying to be liked by everyone. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed, please consider subscribing and liking this video. If you're American or from somewhere else, let me know in the comments what's the feeling towards the World Cup in your place. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed.